and welcome to week 7 of Unleash the Power of Your Extraordinary Life. So good to see you all here. That sounded like a party. I wanted to join in. I wanted to think I can go home. You're right, you're without me. Okay, so tonight we'll start in the same way as we start every week with you reading with me, yes? So the 4 pillars of success are: knowledge creates awareness, awareness enables clarity, clarity fuels action, and action will change your life. Yay! Whose life has changed even a little bit? Yes, 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 yes. Excellent, that's fantastic. And so we determined, or we found out over the course so far, that really it is what is on the inside of us that determines our results. Yes, so can we read all of that out as well? What is on the inside of me determines my performance and the quality and results of my life. And then, of course, there are the 5 ingredients that determine more than 80% of whether you're living an ordinary or an extraordinary life. Is that starting to become a reality for you? Is that starting to become really clear that it is what is going on the inside more than what goes on the outside that determines the quality and experience of your life? And we're going to talk more about that today. But let's quickly without the slide, do you remember what the 5 ingredients are? Number 1, mind. Number 2, emotions or body, yes. Number 3, emotions or body, yes. Number 4, spirit. And number 5, time. Brilliant! I think my work is done. You know everything, almost. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the fact that you live in 2 worlds. Who has ever have had this thought that I live in 2 worlds? Anyone? No. Yeah, you have?
Perception and reality? Yep.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you how this thought came to my mind. It was a Sunday morning. Something was bothering me for a long time. This is how a lot of these things work for me. Like I have this niggly thought in the back of my mind, and I keep thinking it, and I keep working it, and I keep looking for evidence for things. And then one morning, I wake up with complete clarity. And it was a Sunday morning, and my husband can attest to this. I woke up and the first thing I said was, do you know what? We live in 2 worlds. And you can imagine his reaction. It wasn't very good. Like what did you have to drink? We've only just woken up. Where are you coming from? But it was true. I figured out that we actually, every one of us, exist in 2 connected but separate worlds all the time. Isn't that amazing? Now I want to show you how that works. So let's go to the board. So 2 worlds, 2 circles, yes? We have the inner world and we have the outer world. So these are terms that I've just made up, really, to be honest. We have the inner world and the outer world, and they're very descriptive. You have everything that goes on inside of you and everything that goes on outside of you. And those 2, even though they are connected, are often very different. Does that make sense? Okay, so what will we say are the inner world ingredients? We're quite familiar with them, and you got them all spot on just now. So your spirit, yes, your mind, your body, your emotions, and your life or time. Does that make sense? So everything we've spoken about so far all revolves around what goes on in the inner world. So let me ask you this. Think about the person you love most in the world. Where are they? Are they in the inner world or the outer world? They're in the outer world, that's right. But where is the feeling that you've attached to them? In the inner world, yes? So all people, of course, are never in the inner world. Sometimes when I ask my clients this, where are your children? Because people have strong emotional attachments to their children. Sometimes they go, they're in the inner world because they're in my heart. I go, no, you have an emotional attachment in your heart, but really your children are in the outer world. Yes? Where do we have all our homes, clothes, cars, possessions? Where is all of that? Inner or outer world? All of that stuff is in the outer world. I'll have a go at drawing a car. That's not too bad. Yes. And a house. So all of this stuff, all of the stuff that we accumulate is never there. Where's money? In the inside or the outside of us? Outside, that's right. But do you know that each one of you, I'm sure you will know, has a very strong emotional connection to money? And the thing, this is a side note, the thing that I find fascinating is the clients I work with often double and triple their income through the programs that I do with them. And do you know, if their emotional attachment does not change according to their bank balance. The way they feel about money when we start, the way they feel about money at the end of the program is exactly the same, unless we work on their feelings attached to money. So if you feel like you never have enough money, if that's the feeling that you have in your inner world, you can double, triple your income. Do you know what? You are still going to feel that you don't have enough money. Does that make sense? That's just a side note. So we all have emotional attachments to money, and that does not in fact change according to your bank balance. So if you're not satisfied with your level of achievement in terms of money, you need to go and examine your emotional attachment to money, because that might be part of, or is quite possibly part of why you don't feel contented. Okay, moving on though, that's just a side note. So, when things happen in the outer world, what do? Say something, a colleague of yours says something really nasty to you. So the words are spoken here or here? Outer world, yes? So let's write, blah, blah. What happens? Goes, ooh, into that. Yes? And the mind does what? Makes an emotion. A good emotion or a bad emotion for bad words? Bad emotion, yes? And so that causes an action. Really, it should go there, but this is fine. So an action. And you know what? That action then determines this in outer world again. Does that make sense? So it's all interconnected. All interconnected. But 80% of whether your life will be ordinary or extraordinary is not based on what goes on here, but what goes on in this world. Now, let's see. Let's just catch up with the PowerPoint. So would you agree that happiness, safety, wealth, and love are things that most people are looking for in life? If we were to say extraordinary life, do you think that happiness, safety, wealth, and love would be part of anyone's extraordinary life? Yes? Are those things ever contained here? Can you ever feel love in the outside world? No, it's an emotion, yes? So emotions are where? On the inner world, in the inner world. What about safety, feeling safe? So you could say, yes, my environment needs to be safe. But sometimes if you've had a really bad experience, even though you're not in the unsafe environment anymore, even if your environment is safe, you might feel unsafe on the inside. Do you know what I'm talking about? Is everyone following this, my argument? Excellent. So safety is actually not contained in the outer world, is it? It's a feeling that you have there. Agreed? Wealth. Wealth can include money, but we know our feelings regarding money is there. Love, is there. So all of the things that most people chase around to try and get and try and buy and try and find in other people, in other things, in homes, in cars, in boats, in partners, in friends, in colleagues, are they ever to be found in that world? No, they're not. They're all actually stuff that goes on in there. So, happiness, safety, wealth, and love, and all the other wonderful things that you desire are actually available for you to create in the inner world. So let's see how we can do that. So we live in two worlds, we know that. Here's my beautiful illustration. So the inner world, spiritual being, time, mind, emotions, and body, and the outer world, places, people, money, possessions, etc., etc. And we've said that the inner world is everything that happens on the inside of you, while the outer world is everything that happens outside. I just want to show you how the interconnectedness of your inner and your outer world works. So, if you think a thought on the inner world in your mind, inside of you, what does that produce? An emotion. That emotion causes an action, causes results. That result is what will cause that. Yes, does that make sense? Now let's just take the opposite. So most people, remember how we said when we spoke about the basics of emotions that we allow our environments to really influence us, yes? Anyone's environment has a huge influence on us. But I want to quickly show you how perception, or remind you really, that perception taints what we see in this world. So, for example, you look at interaction with colleagues at work, and you feel like someone, I just had that experience very recently. So you feel like someone hasn't done the right thing by you. But what you're seeing is not everything, is it? Because your perception does not allow you to see everything. But what your mind does, and I want you to write this down, I want you to remember this is really important. The mind has a function of showing you the evidence of what you're focused on. So if you are focused on feeling, let's say it's stupid, right? Let's say you're not feeling very good, you're feeling stupid and dumb. And someone just says something, you will find the evidence that is what you're focused on. So you will distort their words through perception to turn it around and say that person said I'm dumb, even though that might not be the case at all. So this is the phrase I always use, and I hope I've explained this really well to you. We do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So if you're a happy person, you'll see evidence of happiness everywhere. If you have heaps and heaps of insecurities, you're going to see everyone dealing with you in that same way. You're going to see the evidence and you're going to act in a certain way through your insecure emotions. You're going to act in a certain way. People are going to say things. Perception's going to filter out everything that doesn't fit with your insecurity, and it's going to reinforce that insecurity all the time. Does that make sense? So if you want other people to treat you well, where does that start? There, yes? And really with those subconscious programs. Hence my insistence that you make the CDs and you do those personal power statements, because they really do make a difference. Is everyone still following the argument? Beautiful. Okay, so let's quickly catch up with the PowerPoint. Your outer world has the power to enter and shape your inner world and the experience of your life. Yes, what happens here goes into the inner world, and it is your perception of what's going on that evokes the emotion that determines the quality and experience of your life. Does that all follow logically? Good. And you will form an interpretation, not the truth, an interpretation of what's going on in your outer world. So if you're in a new relationship and you find yourself becoming emotional, it might be a trigger, something that has nothing to do with this relationship, a trigger, something from your previous relationship, your own insecurities. You'll, through perception, delete the reality of the situation. You'll only hear what you're focused on, which is really reinforcing that insecurity, and so that's not setting yourself up to succeed in that relationship, as an example. Are you all following me? So the best way to make any change, to create an extraordinary life, is to start with you, which we've done. So that's good news. The other good news is no one can do this but you. You don't have to wait for other people to do this. You can do this today, tomorrow. Now, the substance and strength of your inner world ingredients very much determines the interpretation of your outer world. You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. How does your inner world produce your outer world? The life you're currently living is the result of, and this is how your inner world determines your outer world. So what elements in this world is determining this world? There they are. They're six elements. Number one, your ability to overcome your challenges. Secondly, your ability to navigate relationships. Thirdly, your ability to make profitable decisions. Number four, to discipline yourself, to take the right action at the right time, consistently over time. Your ability to influence others. And the sixth one, which is really important, is your ability to know what you want. Knowing what you want is half the battle won. So, 80% of your outer world is a reflection of those six things, of those abilities. And I often, as you know, and which I've mentioned previously, I've often spoken to you about the fact that I work with high-performing individuals. And a question that I get asked an awful lot is, what actually determines whether someone will be high-performing, good at their job, very successful versus not? And I'm going to give you the answer. It is someone's inner strength and capacity. Someone's inner strength and capacity will determine their results. That was good. Someone's inner strength and capacity will determine their results. So the inner strength and capacity of your mind. How much information can you deal with at any point in time? How much external stimuli can come to you without you going into meltdown? That's going to determine how successful you're going to be. How much control do you have over your emotions? When you are really angry, do you have to lash out, or can you hold back and still think clearly and make the right decision? That's inner strength and capacity. How much energy do you have? How much energy do you have? How much can you get done in a day? That's inner strength and capacity. And those elements determine, as well as how you use your time, your ability. Remember how when we spoke about time, we said time management's a myth. It's your ability to manage yourself in the use of time. That's part of inner strength and capacity. Does that make sense? So together, mind, emotions, body, and how you can use your time really determines the result and the outcome of your life. Now, I'm keen for us to move on because we've got great things to come. So which world, last one about the two worlds, which world do you think contains the majority of the challenges you face? Inner world, yes. Isn't that fantastic? Because you can overcome that. You don't have to wait for someone's permission, to wait for your boss to say it's okay, wait for your partner or your husband to say yes, you can take $50 and go overcome your challenges. No, you don't have to wait for someone to open an opportunity for you. You can do it now. That's pretty cool. That means we have control. Does that make sense? Or at least the ability to control. And so a lot of people feel depressed because they feel they have no control over or in their lives. And really that is the greatest lie, because we all have the ability to control ourselves, and it starts with a decision, as we spoke last week or the week before. So 80% of the challenges are faced in the inner world. And I'm going to go through this quickly because I want to move on to the next thing. Lastly, I'll just say you have a momentous opportunity available to live the life of your dreams. An extraordinary life, which is what we all want. An extraordinary life of significance, meaning, and contribution. But to take advantage of it, you must gain full mastery of all of these elements. But also, you must free yourself up from all of the stuff that has happened to you in your life that is slowing you down, weighing you down, and preventing you from moving ahead. And that's also what I want to talk to you about tonight. How can we, if we know that this, and this really determines the outcome of our lives, how can we get these to feel and function optimally? So, on to the next section of tonight. Smash your shackles. I love this. Guys, as if you choose to engage in this thing, it will change your life. Next week, you'll all be completely different. I'll be able to see it on your faces. I've seen this work so many times with my clients. It's brilliant. It saves lives. So, just to put this into perspective, you're all familiar with this, yes? So we started to just put it all together. Then we spoke about the mind, the conscious and the subconscious mind. We spoke about the basics of emotions, of feeling good, of what to do with your unpleasant emotions. And so tonight we're going to also speak about smashing your shackles. Because let me point out the obvious, something that you might not have realized. Getting hurt, being violated and taken advantage of is an unavoidable part of being a human being. Anyone in the room who has never been hurt before by someone? No. It's unavoidable. It is just part of what life's about. You're going to get hurt. You're going to be violated, taken advantage of, etc., etc. It's a given. It's part of being human. And it's going to happen to everybody. Everybody. So I've got a lovely picture there. Getting hurt is part of being human. These experiences, however difficult to endure, though, create opportunities for you to grow in strength and power. Inner strength, yes? Inner strength and capacity. That's what we're trying to build. So being hurt, part of our human experience, unavoidable. And so what happens when someone hurts you? I'm just going to talk about hurt as a generic kind of term for all the wrongs that someone can do to you. Is that okay? So that kind of is my term that I'm going to use for everything that's bad that can happen to you. So what happens when someone hurts you? What happens on the inside of you?
You defend yourself.
Yeah, but you have a reaction, yes? You defend yourself, you have a reaction, and somehow you get a scar. And somehow you get an emotional reaction to what that person did to you. And unfortunately, unless you make a concerted effort to deal with that scar, in the same way as if someone literally, say, cut your arm, if you don't deal with that wound, it's not necessarily going to heal very well. Does that make sense? Now, one of my clients said, when I spoke to them about this, I was saying, so what happens when you get hurt and violated and all of this? It's like shackles. It's like shackles around your legs, and it slows you down, it drags you down. And she said, she has this picture of a chain and ball. And I said, yes, that's exactly right. And then she said, and people somehow sense, if you have a lot of balls around you, people sense that that's where the balls go. And they bring their stuff to you too. Anyone have that experience? So they come, oh, that's where we put those, and they'll come and add to your load. And some people really have that. Bad things happen to them all the time, and we just add to their chains and balls, and after a while you can hardly see the person. You see all of this stuff, and they're so stuck, which is such a shame. So let's move on and see what we can do about that. So shackles obviously are the negative emotional responses that we have to past hurtful experiences. And I'm sure you will all agree that shackles sometimes become impossibly heavy, holding you back and tying you down. Shackles drag you down, slow you down, and prevent you from achieving your full potential. Now, even if you cannot remember a single thing sitting here, well, I doubt that that would be true anyway, but even if you think, I really don't have those many shackles, I'm right, I've dealt with a lot of my stuff. If you go through this process, you will be amazed. You will be amazed at what actually does come to bear and how you can be free of it. So I obviously do not want any one of you to be tied down or held back in any way. So then we say, all you do is let go. Anyone heard that before? Oh, just let go. How do you do that? How do you let go? Would be excellent if we could just say, oh yeah, I'm over that. I've let go. It's not that simple, is it? So, what does letting go mean? And I'm going to tell you. Who is familiar with that word, forgiveness? Letting go means forgiving. Now, it's not a very popular word, forgiveness. And I just want to show you some of the misconceptions that most people have regarding forgiveness. So what forgiveness is not. Who's have held that thought that if you don't forgive, and I'm just going to call the person who hurts you the perpetrator, okay, just for our discussion. So who's felt that if you don't forgive the perpetrator, you have something on them? You don't, it's by forgiving them, you are condoning what they did, or it's somehow okay what they did. And that's what most people's natural reaction is. I will not forgive that person. And by not forgiving that person, it's kind of getting your own back. Do you know what? That person is getting on with his or her life. And they don't care. They don't. They're dealing with their own hurtful stuff that someone else did to them. And often that's the other thing that we have to remember. Sometimes we are the people who are doing the hurting. And we are doing the violating and the taking advantage of. And that's not very good. But forgiving does not mean make what they did right. Nor does it mean you accept or advocate that person's actions. Forgiveness is breaking the shackles and setting yourself free. So I want to make that very, very clear. By forgiving, you're not saying that whoever did to you is okay. You're not even saying it's right or anything like that. What you're doing is you're making a decision for yourself that you will no longer allow what someone did in your outer world to affect that and to hold you ransom. Doesn't mean that they're wrong, that what happened is okay. It doesn't mean you accept it. It means that you're dealing with it and you're moving on, because you will not allow that person to control your day to day. If you are holding on to something that someone did to you 20 years ago, you're allowing that person to control what you do today. We don't want that. We want today to be free and powerful and extraordinary. So, why should you forgive? To be free. By forgiving, you regain personal control. You no longer allow past hurts to negatively affect your present life. I want all of you, it is my heart's desire for each and every one of you to be free. It is wonderful. So 5 reasons, it's a choice that only, or it's not really reasons, but why should you forgive? Number 1, it's a choice that only you can make. I cannot forgive your perpetrator for you. I can only forgive my own. And so only you can do this. Secondly, the choice will only benefit you. It's not going to make any difference to the perpetrator, but it's going to have a huge benefit for you. Huge. Not forgiving results in you living a life of oppression. Not your perpetrator, you. And while you carry resentment in your heart and mind, you allow the offender's actions to control and affect you daily, which is what I don't want to happen for you. So forgiving will set you free. Okay, now, this is a good place to start. Forgiving yourself. When you make a mistake or do wrong by other people, you must even let go and forgive yourself. And the one thing that I found consistently with every single one of my clients as they go through this process, their own names is on the list, and people that they would never have thought about in a session, a coaching session, their names are on the list too. Because once you start to think about all the resentment, all the shackles, all the chains and balls that you are carrying around, you find that you have an awful lot. And you've just become really good at pushing it away and deleting it and getting it out of the way so that you can get on with it. But it still has an effect on you. You're still carrying that stuff, and you don't have to. You can be free. Isn't that so much better? Wouldn't that be so much better? So, I have discovered the process of forgiveness, and what it is really is it's forgiveness is making a declaration for a better future, letting go of the past in order to move on. In forgiving the past, you set yourself free, setting yourself up to succeed in the future. And that is my sincere desire for every one of you. Some people live their entire lives complaining about what other people do to them. Do you know people like that? Yes. It's a terrible, terrible shame. Okay, so there are 7 steps, and I'm going to move through them really quickly. I've made a handout for you. So this is part of your homework. Your homework is to go and forgive everyone. Go be free. So what I always say to people is try and schedule 2 hours where you are alone, because you're going to become pretty upset probably, and that's okay. That's exactly how it should be. And even if you want to go and break a plate, go to Big W and get a few inexpensive ones, and you can go and smash them outside. And so going through this process is extremely, extremely beneficial. And 7 steps, here they are. I'm going to go through them quickly. The handout's coming your way. You don't need to write this down. Number 1, compile a list of names of people who have hurt you in the past, or individuals to whom you feel resentment or hold a grudge against. Again, there will be names on this page that you probably can't think of right now. That's how it should be. Number 2, compile and write out a list of people and their actions who you have decided to forgive. Use a forgiveness journal. So what I always say is go and get a book, any book or scrap paper, make it your forgiveness journal, write out all the people's names and everything that they've ever done to you. Everything. Be as detailed and as you can. Just get everything out there, and your own name is probably going to be on there too. And write it. Doesn't say think about it. There is something in the act of writing that gets it out of your body onto paper. So write it down. You have to follow these steps precisely to get the very, very best results. So at the top of the page, write, I forgive, and then you just go through the people's names that you've listed. I forgive so-and-so for what he and she has done to hurt me. And journal your feelings about this person and the hurt that has been caused. You don't have to go into 7,000 pages of hurtful things. Just want a little paragraph of how you're feeling in that point. And you know what? It's good for you to feel the feeling while you're there. And that's when you'll cry, and that's when you'll throw the plates, and that's when you'll get upset. And that's okay. But then we're going to move on from that. And this is what is the most freeing bit. So step 4, so you just go through the whole list of names. So repeat step 3 until you've listed all the individuals and all the wrongs for which you need to forgive. And then on to the freedom part. Upon completion of the list, speak these sentences out loud. By speaking them out loud, you declare not only to yourself but also to the world that you are letting go and smashing your shackles. So you say, I forgive blah-de-blah for blah-de-blah. Okay, that's the sentence. I forgive Susie for stamping on my toe when I was 3. Okay, and so you go through the whole list and you keep repeating this sentence over and over again. And then step 7, step 6 is you destroy that journal. Once you've gone through the process, get rid of it. Shred it, burn it. I wanted to say flush it down the loo, but that's probably not a good idea. You'll get the plumber in after. And then this is the most important bit. Sometimes we create thinking, feeling addictions. You remember that? Thinking, feeling addictions. And so that you need to work a bit harder to break your thinking, feeling addictions. So if you have created a thinking, feeling addiction, I am so upset with Susie. She stood on my toe, and today my toes are crooked because of that. And I can't wear open-toe shoes. If I keep thinking that thought and feeling that feeling, I'm not going to do that and it's just going to be gone. I'm going to have to work a little bit harder to let go of those thoughts, yes, to establish a new thinking, feeling addiction. So that's the thing. Every time I think of Susie, I go, I have forgiven Susie and I am free. I've forgiven Susie and I'm free. Just continue to recite that to myself in my mind until I have established a new thinking, feeling addiction. And that is going to set me free. Now, please, can I beg you, can I go on my knees? Please schedule 2 hours over the next week and get this done. Get this done. It'll make a huge, huge, huge difference. Okay, moving on. Engaging actively in the process of forgiveness, smash your shackles, and you will be free. And when you are free, we've dealt with all of the stuff of your emotions, and we can move on to the body. And that's where we are. So what are you going to do when you're free? Then you have your body to use. Inner strength and capacity. We need body, we need health and energy, because in the end, it's the actions that determine the results or cause the results. So we want a healthy body that can take action. Yes? Does that make sense? Okay, so with your newfound freedom, I want to show you some things that you need to do to master your body. So back to this section here, we've moved on. We can tick emotions, tick mind, tick emotions, and we're talking about the body. So just to put it in perspective here, we can tick that, and we're on to the body. Your body is I'm hoping that says masterpiece. It should say your body is a masterpiece. Your body is a masterpiece. Who is house proud? Yeah. I found lots of people who are really house proud more about their homes than they are about their spiritual being home, which is your body. Do more in cleaning your house than you will for your own health. Amazing. In fact, sometimes cleaning your house is not good for your health. Even though I'm house proud too, I clean a lot. So this is the thing. Your body is the home of you. And so should you take care of your home? Yes. Yes, you should. So while bricks and mortar have built your physical home, your body is the home of you as a spiritual being. Now, whose body loves chocolate? Yes, yes. So I have this question for you. Oh, one slide too far. I have this question for you. Who is in control, you or your body? Sometimes we have to let the body be in control for a little bit, yes. And so really that's the point. And you have to try and move yourself to a place where you are fully in control of your body and where you are using your body as a tool and not where your body is in control of you. Is that making sense? Does everyone follow that argument? Good. And so we spoke about the functions of the mind and about will. And this is one place where you should be strong-willed. You should be strong-willed about loving and caring for your home, your body. Because as I've just mentioned to you, you require high levels of health and energy to live an extraordinary life. Don't you, Nikki? The more energetic you are, the more you get done, the better you feel, the better your life. And anyone who's lost their health or is battling health problems will tell you without health, life is pretty difficult. So with high levels of health and energy, you will feel empowered and productive, and then you'll take action. And if you take the right action consistently over time, you'll produce an inner and an outer world, which is extraordinary. The right action, doing the right thing at the right time, consistently, well, over time, will produce an extraordinary life. So I'm going to move through this really quickly because I have something else to get to which is important. But just the 9 strategies for good physical health. They are common sense things that most people don't do. It amazes me the common sense things that are not getting done. Number 1, healthy nutrition. We spoke about fueling your car with the right kind of fuel. Well, what about fueling your body with what's good for it? And I don't have to talk about this. We're well educated in the Western world about what to eat. I think my 4-year-old knows more about what to eat than I do probably. Moderate weight bearing and cardiovascular exercise. And remember last week I said, was it last week? Previous week? 15 minutes a day. That's the aim. 15 minutes a day, 6 days a week, every day of your life. Every week you have left. 15 minutes a day. Everyone has 15 minutes a day for health. Dietary supplements, adequate water, quality sleep. You do those, and breathing, good oral hygiene, brushing your teeth, rest and relaxation, and regular health checkups. You do that, you do those 9 steps, your body will be in a great shape, which will allow you to have high levels of health and energy, which will allow you to take the right action, which will allow you to create a great life. So life gets pretty busy. Work is pretty full on for everyone. However, if you are spending every hour at work and you have no time to be healthy, then you need to examine your values. A, you're not valuing your health. B, you need to go and look at that pie chart, the wheel, remember? And C, you need to make some changes because you need your body to work. If you're working yourself to the ground, then your body won't be there for you always. Does that make sense? You are not your body. You're a spiritual being. You have to look after your body. You have a responsibility to do that. And so, on to the next thing. Health, like everything else, is a choice. It is a choice. And it is a choice that you have to make consistently. It's the choice you make when you get up in the morning, what you choose to eat for breakfast. It's the morning tea choice. It's the choice you make when you go grocery shopping. It's the choice you make when you pour the wine, when you take the chocolate. Not that there's any problem with that if you're doing that in moderation, but if it's always McDonald's, chocolates, wine and beer, then there's a problem. Okay. Now this is the most exciting bit. This is what I've been waiting to get to. There's some stuff tonight that if you choose to implement in your life, things will change dramatically for you. So let's go back. So we have the inner world here and the outer world, and we're talking about the inner world just to put it into perspective. And so we've got spiritual being, mind, body, emotions, and your life. To remind you, do you remember how we said, if I say think of your pet dying when you were a young child, that'll make you feel sad, and if we continue to go down that road, that'll produce tears. So you have a physiological bodily response. Okay? Now, this is really, really important to understand. Research shows that the opposite is true too, and we spoke about this in Feeling Good. When you start to smile, your emotions will adjust. You start to feel better, and that making you feel better will make your mind adjust. Does that make sense? So your posture, the way in which your body is at any point in time, is incredibly important. Not only for what other people think and see, not only in communicating to other people, which is what we generally associate posture with and body language with. It's all about what other people will think. This is not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is the way in which your body is at any point in time, your facial expression, the way in which you hold yourself has a profound influence on how you feel and what you think. And so what I want for all of you is to feel good, yes? Confident, happy. And so I'm going to show you what the body language is, the posture is, that is optimal for those feelings. Does that sound like a good idea? It is. And so, but it's up to you again. I'm not your body. I can't manage and control your body. You have to do that for you. When you choose to take on board the optimal body language, it'll do a few things. It'll make you feel really good, make you feel more confident. But secondly, other people will perceive you as attractive and confident and friendly and probably all the things that you'd like to be known as. So, this slide shows your mind thinks a thought, you feel an emotion that produces a physiological response in your body, and the opposite is true too. So let me show you the good posture, and there's another handout for you so that you can remember to practice. That's more homework for you. Great posture. May I have one too, just to remind that I'm cover everything? Thank you. Okay, so I have some points on the board, but really the handout is a bit more detailed. I'm going to go through this with you in a bit of detail. Wait for the handout to go. Okay, let's start with, so you'll see on the handout that changing your posture will do a few things. Number one, your approach to life will change. Why? Because of this here, yes, your approach is really how you think about things, and when you change your body, change the way your posture is, then the way your mind works changes as well. You will alter your mood, which we've already established as well. You will feel more confident, you will become more likable, you will become more influential if that's what you're after, and you will become more persuasive, which is a rather good thing. I'm sure you'll agree. So number one, face. Okay, so face. Let me quickly also just put this into perspective for you. Your face. You have, in terms of body language, two positions that you can take. You have one that's really approachable, and you have one that's credible. So I'll show you the difference in face for approachable versus credible. You have to have two different sets of facial expressions to be seen as approachable, which means people think you're friendly and likable and they come towards you and speak with you, versus you're credible, the expert, you know what you're talking about, and people are not likely to question you. Does that make sense? Okay, so shall we start with approachable? The approachable face is an animated face. It's a face that smiles a lot and a lot of movement in your face. That is very, very approachable. You show your teeth. So you'll see the face that I've given you on the handout is the approachable face. It's animated, you smile a lot, and you show your teeth. Okay, so the face that's on that handout is the approachable face. Now, once I discuss this with you, you'll see when people make speeches, you'll notice this all the time. The credible face, and men are much better at the credible face than women are, is a dead set, no expression face whatsoever. So, absolutely dead face. That's the credible face. If you watch people make speeches, especially men, especially CEOs of big corporations, they have no facial expression whatsoever. If you watch the Qantas boss make a speech, nothing. Yes? Not a thing. Face is dead. Okay, moving on. Gestures. Okay, be expressive. Again, more approachable. Gestures, be expressive. So you can use your hands, but it's probably a good idea to keep your hands below shoulder and chin level, unless you are addressing 10,000 people like I am now. Keep your fingers, again, this is approachable. When you show someone the insides of your hands, you are declaring, and I know this sounds strange, but it does work. You are declaring that you're being honest. You have nothing to hide. Sometimes with my clients, when I think that they're not being completely honest with me, I'll put my hands on the table like this. And within 2 or 3 minutes, we get to the truth. We get to the heart of the matter. Because it encourages people to tell the truth. And it'll also encourage you to tell the truth. And it's approachable. However, again, you'll see a lot of politicians and high-power executives do this. Open fingers is very, very approachable. But when you close your fingers, it's credible. So when you see people show the palms of their hands, they are showing you that they're telling the truth. And when they keep their fingers together, they're indicating that they're credible. And most people do this automatically. Yes, so they'll think they're credible, they'll feel credible, so automatically their arms will open, their palms will come up, and their fingers will close. Does that make sense? But you can do the opposite. You can put your arms out, fingers closed, and you'll be seen as credible. Next, also very, very important, keep everything open. The moment you cross your arms, in your body, your mind goes shut. Well, Walt and I were in a fitness store the other day, and I'm watching the salespeople trying to sell a treadmill. And every single person standing like this. I said to Walt, they'll never sell anything. Those people's minds are so shut. So if you're in sales, the trick of the trade is if someone's arms are crossed, you give them something to hold. I said, have a look at this, so that they can uncross their arms, because the moment the arms are crossed, the mind is shut, and you can't actually give anything new. So, and for you guys, open. So I had another client, pretty high position, male, but oh my goodness, he always was like this. And so I got him to do that, and do you know how vulnerable he felt? So vulnerable. But after a while, your feeling addiction adjusts. And after a while, you start to feel confident, because really no one is going to punch you in the stomach. That is the reality of the life we live in now. That's good. You can open your arms. No one's going to do anything to your body. You can open your arms. The same with legs. You shouldn't have your legs crossed too much. You should try and keep open body language. Okay, head movement. Triple nod. Triple nod, triple nod, triple nod. So when someone's talking to you, you triple nod. If you want them to continue to talk, you just keep silent and triple nod, and they'll start talking again. It's brilliant. If you don't want them to stop, if they're telling you something that you want to know, just go, oh, is that right? And they'll start again. They'll tell you more, which is pretty handy. When you're listening to someone, have your head tilted to the one side, but when you're speaking, you really want to have your head upright. Moving on to eye contact. Who knows that people who give eye contact are much more credible than people who don't? Yes, we all know that, don't we? Okay, here's the warning though. They did research where they put couples together and on a speed dating, or not a speed dating thing, but a blind date kind of internet dating hookup kind of thing. And they said to the participants, without them knowing, each individually, that there was something wrong with the other person's eye, but not sure which one. So the people sat and stared in each other's eyes, trying to figure out what's wrong with what eye. And when you stare into someone's eyes, you make feelings of intimacy. Those dates were 80% more successful than the control group. 80%. So if you want to be intimate with someone, if you're trying to impress someone, stare. And if you're not, don't stare. That comes with a warning. But lookers gain more credibility than non-lookers, so don't look away. The rule of thumb is give a little bit more eye contact than the other person is giving. Right? Some people do feel uncomfortable with eye contact, so if someone isn't really looking at you, don't stare, obviously. Okay, posture. Lean forward when listening with your head tilted and the triple nod, and stand up nice and straight when you are speaking. Really, you should have open body language, up straight, head up, like your mum taught you. That's the right posture to have. And that'll make you feel confident. Really, so much about feeling confident is in posture. And again, if you have a bad thinking, feeling addiction, initially that's going to feel a little bit vulnerable and uncomfortable. But the more you practice, the more that'll adjust for you. And when you walk into a room with the right posture, people perceive you completely differently and you feel completely differently. Is that a good idea? I think so. Now, territory. I'm sure you all know we feel like we own the space around our bodies. And the amount of space we feel we own is based on our culture. So if you live in Europe where it's densely populated, people there don't feel like they own that much space because there is really not much space to own. But when you're in rural Australia, people's body language space requirements are huge, like 30 meters, because they never see anyone. If you're out in the bush and you're on a farm, those people, if you come close to them, like 5 meters, they feel like you're invading their space. It's really, really interesting. So the rule of thumb again is stand as close as you feel comfortable. Now when I go to parties, I often watch people. It's hilarious. So we stand as close as we're comfortable, but some people are comfortable with closer, and some people. So the person takes a step back, and the person in front takes a step forward, and they go like this throughout the room, and they're moving all the time because the one person's too close to the other one. So that's really the rule of thumb. Stand as close as you feel comfortable, but if the other person steps back, should you step forward? No, because all that's going to happen is you're going to dance right across the room because the other person feels like you're too close. Right. Now, the final one is the advanced body language, And it is really when you are trying to connect with someone really quickly or you're trying to influence them. People feel comfortable with people who are perceived to be like them and who understand their position. So we look at people subconsciously, we look at the body language, and if I see that, Leanne, you're adopting a very similar body language to me, I'll feel like we have something in common. And that process will be completely subconscious. And so that's what this mirroring is about. It's about adopting a very similar body language to the other person so that they feel like they know you. Because really, they're looking at themselves. Does that make sense? They're looking at a mirror image of themselves. But you have to be so careful. Oh, you have to be so careful. You can consciously do it, but you have to be very, very subtle. And you'll see when people are, especially people who are very much in love, you see them sit at the table and they'll be mirroring each other all the time. The one person moves, the one person takes a sip, the other person will take a sip. They'll put their glasses down. This one will move this way, the other person will move this way. They'll move that way, they'll move that way. And mirroring each other all the time. And there is a lot of this technique in sales where you are building strong rapport with someone, you're mirroring them, and then there's something called pacing and leading where you take a sip, you see all the other person's taking a sip, yep, here we're in. And then you lead them into what you want them to do because the rapport that you've built is so strong that they're following you. But that's not for you guys, really. Does that make sense? So, when you adopt great posture, it'll make your life better. Not only will you be more healthy, because you'll always feel better when you're like this than when you're like that. Not only will you feel better, your emotions will be better, your mind will think more productively, and you're able to create an extraordinary life. So, the handout is go and try the posture, please. Be conscious, or by consciously adopting the body language of happy, confident, and successful people, you will start to feel more happy, confident, and successful. And the final one is to dress for success. And when I say that, have you ever noticed that you dress how you feel the day? Like you get up in the morning, you feel, oh, not very good, I'll just wear this dress. And anyway, so the same thing happens. Clothes actually influence how you feel profoundly, and also how other people react to you. And so I always say the person is not equal the price tag of the clothes at all. But do your best. Make the best of what you have. So when you care for this magnificent tool you have been equipped with, it will in turn care for you as a spiritual being. It will enable you to feel good, to have health and energy, and to take the right action. And thank you, and see you next week.